Hi, everybody. It's Pastor Rob with your midday Bible break. Hope you're having a wonderful day today. Today, we're going to talk about the power of prevailing prayer. I love the subject of prayer. I believe in the power of prayer. Listen to what the Bible has to say in James chapter 5 and verse 16. Confess your faults one to another. Now listen, and pray for one another that ye may be healed. The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. And ladies, that doesn't leave you out. The effectual, fervent prayers of a righteous lady availeth much as well. Now listen, prayer is a subject that we need to get a hold of. You think of the life of Jesus. Jesus' life was permeated with prayer. He spent a lot of time in prayer. He spent all night in prayer there sometimes. He got up early to go pray. He got alone to pray. Let me give you just three quick things about having a powerful prayer life. Number one, you need to have a policy to pray. You say, what do you mean by that, Pastor? Listen to what Paul instructs Timothy, 1 Timothy 2:1. He says, I exhort, therefore, that first of all, supplications, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks be made for all men. You know what? Paul had a policy of prayer. He said, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pray. He says, I'm going to pray for everybody. And Paul, he demonstrated that. Every time you go through the letters of Paul, Paul said, hey, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for this. I'm praying for that. Paul had a policy of prayer. You think of the different people in the Bible who went to prayer. They had a point and a plan and a policy in their life that they were going to pray about everything. Not only do you need a policy of prayer, now listen, you need a place of prayer. Jesus talks about in Matthew 6:6 about the prayer closet, a place where you go and you can be alone and you can talk with God. Now, your prayer closet can be your couch. It could be your chair. It could be beside your bed. It could be your bathroom. It could be your car. Any place where you can say and close the door and you can say, you know what, this is my time, just me and God. You need a place to pray. Bible talks about in the book of Genesis that Abraham went up and stood before God in the place that he met God. Now listen, Abraham had a specific place. He says, God, I'm going to meet you here. You need to have not only a policy that you are going to pray, but number two, you need to have a place where you're going to pray. And then number three, you're going to need to have a plan for when you do pray. In Luke 6:12, the Bible says about Jesus, and it came to pass in those days, he went out into a mountain to pray and continued all night in prayer to God. I don't know about you, but do you ever spend about 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes in prayer, and then you're kind of like, what do I pray about? You run out of things to pray about. Listen, if Jesus spent all night in prayer to God, he had a plan of what he was going to pray about. So some of you may say, well, Pastor, what's your plan? Well, I'm so glad you asked. I'd love to share it with you. Now listen, every day I start out, I've got some 3x5 cards here, and it reminds me on how to enter God's presence as I pray. I pray for my family by name, all of my different family members. I pray for the leadership of our church. I got some personal prayer requests that I pray for, things that I want to see God do in my life. I'm praying for my church, the things I'd like to see God do in our church here. Beyond that, hey, listen, if you attend a Rose Park Baptist Church, you get prayed for. I got every name of everybody who attends here, and I pray over them. We have ministries that write us and say, hey, we have needs, and I'm praying for those needs. When people say, hey, Pastor, would you pray for this? I write those prayer things down, and I pray for those prayer requests. I pray. I pray for my president. I pray for our vice president. I pray for the different branches of government. I pray for our military. I pray for our Supreme Court. I pray for them. I pray for our governor and our leaders. And I got a list of local churches here that are getting started in the area. I pray for them. I pray for our missionaries. Hey, man, can I just encourage you, pray for your missionaries. If you got missionaries, get a list, write it down, and pray for your missionaries. And then I take some time, and I pray for every country in the world. And I go through and I mark off, and I pray a little bit every day. And I have a plan. So when I go to prayer, I'm not just fumbling around, not just saying the same things over and over again. I've got a specific plan when I meet with God. So I've got a policy that I'm going to pray. Number two, I've got a place where I'm going to meet God. Number three, I've got a plan. When I meet with God, I'm not going to waste my time or his time, but we're going to spend some time in prayer. I hope this has been a blessing and a help and an encouragement to you today. Until we meet again, let's keep looking to Jesus.